walked to the door, turned back around one more time, and there it was. A shadowy creature with glowing red eyes, peeking ever so slightly over the bed. I was a 19-year-old living in a small middle-class town in Greece. It was the economic recession, and it was hard for me to find part-time work. Babysitting was the most viable option. The additional euros would allow me to save for when my university classes start. I thought, hey, watching over a kid, putting them to sleep, then watching TV? Sounds great. I was wrong. It was one of the scariest experiences of my life, and I'm still traumatized years later. The worst part is, I think it's still following me. I don't think I will ever be truly free from it. It started out innocently. I saw the job offer online. A reasonably well-off single mom who seemed to have had a lot of success in organizing high-end weddings. The job paid well. You had to cook dinner, take care of a little girl until she falls asleep, and then you essentially have the whole house to yourself. Sweet, I thought. Sounds like a great deal. When I went to the block, I saw the house. It was immediately familiar to me. It was supposedly the local haunted house. Everyone thought it was abandoned. Who knew it was only for sale? Well, I guess the stories weren't true because a nice family's living there now. The mom, Iris, interviewed me in their living room, with little Nicole sitting near her. The girl was 7 years old. The house itself was very spacious and looked very old school. Most importantly, they had a nice TV. I liked this gig already. I answered all of her questions to the best of my ability. That night I got a call. Cora, you got the job. I was very pleased with myself. The next day, I was at the house 10 minutes before my schedule. Iris left me the keys to the house and gave me a few final reminders and went off to prepare the wedding she was organizing the next day. Nicole was a little angel. She was smart and articulate for her age. She preferred to do her homework on her own, which gave me a little free time. She was on the floor working and I was busy on my phone. I cooked her pasta, which she loved. We both watched cartoons on TV and then it was off to bed for her. She asked me to tuck her in and tell her a bedtime story. I told her about the Princess and the Pea. Then, when she got really sleepy, I kissed her goodnight and turned off her light. Her room now only had a tiny purple lamp illuminating one side of the bed. I was about to close the door to the room when she interrupted me. She asked me to keep the door open. I asked her why. She said, it's for her friend. A friend? Yes, she said. Mr. Jello. I thought this was a pretty adorable name for an imaginary friend. I kept the door slightly open and the rest of the night was uneventful. For the first few weeks, everything was great. The routine worked out perfectly and I was able to relax and get to know the family a bit more. It was in my 5th or 6th work night when things started to get pretty creepy. At this point, I was comfortable letting Nicole play alone while I read a book in the room beside hers. I could hear her laughing alone. I look at her on the kitchen floor where she's sitting, staring straight into a wall, speaking to it. Odd, I know, but I shrug it off. I went back to reading. I heard her say, yes, she's here. She's very cool. Yeah, I'm sure she'd like to meet you. I glanced at her again. To my horror, there was something on the wall. A shadow. A deep, dark shadow. It was so vivid that I thought there must be someone behind her casting that shadow. I immediately ran to the kitchen, turned on the lights, and there was nobody there. I quickly picked her up. She was wondering why I was so upset. It's just Mr. Jello, she said. He says he'd like to meet you. Later that night, still unnerved by what I saw in the kitchen, I put the little girl to bed. I asked her a bit more what Jello looked like. Is he made of jelly? She said no. He's more like a friendly shadow. Why is his name Jello? She told me that the first letter is a G, not a J. I tucked her into bed and she looked pretty sleepy and tired. I told her good night and she replied, "Good night, CJ." CJ was a nickname when I was 6 or 7, around her age. There was no way she could have known that. Was that a lucky guess? I asked her, "Is CJ something you came up with?" And she answered, "No. Isn't that what they used to call you?" I was baffled. No one has called me by that name in over a decade. How did you know that? Mr. Jello told me. I was really getting freaked out now. And how did he know this? Oh, he knows all about kids. You were a kid then. My jaw hit the floor. "Good night, CJ," she said. I couldn't even respond anymore. I walked to the door, turned back around one more time, and there it was. A shadowy creature with glowing red eyes, peeking ever so slightly over the bed. I turned on the lights and rushed to the side of the bed. There was nothing there. When I turned around, the kid was on the bed, standing, with a blank expression and a wide smile. From her came a deep, eerie female voice.
"Let me in, CJ."
She promptly collapsed on the bed and was fast asleep. I called her mom, frantic. Told her everything that had happened. Her reaction was dismissive. She scolded me and told me not to entertain these childhood fantasies of imaginary friends. I insisted that I saw it myself. Her reply chilled me. So what? Even if it's true, there's nothing anyone can do about it. I was fired then and there. There was something very wrong in this house. It's not only affecting the child, it's probably also influencing the mom and maybe even me. I searched Jello with a G online. It was definitely not what I expected. The Jello is a demonic woman. The word itself in Greek originated from the grin or the laugh that the creature has. It threatens women's unborn children, infants, and even young children. The demon appears in classical antiquity, Byzantine Empire, and even in the medieval and modern age. It is a child-killing demon. Alarmed by my discovery, I called the mom again. This time she wasn't picking up. I rushed to the house, and I was greeted with an ambulance leaving the home. The people around it said the child was sick and being rushed to the hospital. I tried going back to the home several times. I never saw the mom and the daughter again. After several weeks, I just saw a for sale sign. The house was sold. I never knew what happened to Nicole, and it's been giving me nightmares since then. It's been many years since. The house has regained its reputation as the town's haunted house. I am now happily married. Every once in a while, I pass by that house on the way to my work, now in sales. One day, I was passing by the house and looked at the window. And there, I saw her. Nicole, inside the house, looking straight at me, grinning. I closed my eyes quickly, and when I opened them, it was the demon now on the window, pointing at me. I ran as fast as I could away from the house. Incidentally, on this occasion, I was on my way to the doctor's office, and it was the same day I found out I was actually pregnant, and now I'm full of worry for my child. I could barely sleep, and in my half-awake state last night, I heard it. A familiar, deep voice. A voice I heard in the bedroom of a little girl those many years ago. A female voice that whispered,
"Let me in."
And it kept going and going.
"Let me in."
And sooner or later, I might be convinced. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Fright TV Animations. Hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we upload new content.